June's the month we can finally start getting excited about whitetails again. Turkey season's a wrap, summer food plots are coming to a close, and velvet season is really just right around the corner. And if you think that you can't get some type of benefit from running trail cameras in June, think again. Because in this video, we're going to drop you 4 reasons to run trail cameras in June to get a jump start on your whitetail season. So objective number 1 for June trail cameras is to keep tabs on growing bucks and antler growth. And when it comes to June, running trail cameras in June, it's not all about instant gratification. In fact, June is the time we're going to be going out, finding these locations, setting these cameras up, but not actually checking them until July and August. And keep in mind that, every trail camera user is going to have a different reason or a different goal for every camera that they put out. But the underlying theme with summer trail cameras for whitetail hunters is just that, just keeping tabs on all of your bucks, knowing how they're maturing, which ones are going to make your hit list, and keep tabs on antler growth. And for us at Exodus, even though we're in a wooded setting right now, there's really 2 different types of sets that we accomplish that with. One is a mineral site. Mineral sites offer great inventory opportunity. Usually in a static environment, you get plenty of pictures, plenty of bucks. And then the other trail camera set would be bean fields. An inside corner of a bean field is a great summer trail camera set to monitor your bucks and that velvet growth. So one of those 2 locations ideally give you the best case scenario to accomplish that objective without putting too much pressure on your whitetails and your parcel. So objective number 2 for June trail cameras is understanding your fawn crop. I think when you run cameras throughout the summer, specifically in June, guys are getting photos of fawns and they get excited and it's cool, but they're not necessarily using those photos to draw conclusions about their whitetail herd, about their parcel, and about what is happening during hunting season on that parcel. And I think when you look at trail camera photos of fawns, you can draw conclusions around all 3 of them. So to start, a healthy deer herd, does are going to drop anywhere from 80% of those does are going to drop fawns. And if that number is lower than that, then you need to take a hard look at what is happening there through the breeding season, through November, December, January. Why aren't those adult does being bred? The second thing we can kind of draw a conclusion around is, summer habitat, fawning habitat. A lot of times, these open field settings, CRP, the tall grasses, those inside corners of bean fields, inside corners of just freshly worked tillable dirt, mineral sites, those are the areas you're going to get a lot of doe traffic and consequently get some of those fawn pictures. So it's always good to keep in mind that, save some of those pictures, draw some conclusions around them when you're getting those fawn photos and not just delete them. And the last thing we want to talk about is the actual rut, the breeding season. So an average white-tailed doe has a gestation period of around 200 days. So drawing those conclusions from your fawn pictures, taking a guess that, that specific fawn is maybe 5 days old or a week old when you got, maybe 2 weeks old when you got a picture of that fawn, you can actually backdate that and say that doe, the inception date for that doe was November 3rd or November 4th or whatever that day is. So there's always that gestation period is going to be a little bit different for every deer. It might be 195 days, it might be 190 days, it might be 202 days, but it'll give you a pretty rough idea of the actual conception date of that doe. And I think it's, we all know does are getting bred in November, the first 2 weeks of November, but oftentimes if you have an early fawn drop or a late fawn drop, I think those are the photos where you can actually draw those conclusions and have an idea of what's happening there. So objective number 3 is simply working out the kinks. And we bring this up because, there's new models hitting the market every year, and there's more and more guys running cellular cameras over SD card cameras, and there's still a learning curve to some of these cellular cameras. Guys are, messing with settings and understanding the app and understanding their data plans and really understanding, trigger delays and how these things actually upload, the upload frequencies. So there's a lot to learn there with these cellular devices. They're a lot more intuitive, but they can be cumbersome at times if you're unfamiliar with the way that they work, if you're unfamiliar with the app. And the worst thing that we want people to do is to buy one of these things, hold on to it for 2 months, and not put it up till September, October, because they're trying to save a little bit of money on data because the summer information is not necessarily as important, but then they may have a bad experience, or they may take a week or maybe 2 weeks to find the ideal location for the camera, the ideal settings, and then that's lost time. So, if you're looking to move into cellular cameras this summer, I would highly recommend buying one now, getting it regardless of what you're buying. It doesn't have to be an Exodus render. regardless of what you're buying, get it out now. Work the kinks out so you're familiar with the product and you know what type of settings and what type of location it's going to excel in prior to hunting season. And the last objective number 4 for getting your cameras out in June, is one of my personal favorite, and that's getting other people involved. I have a small family at home, two young kids, and putting your cameras out in June it's not as important as running cameras through the hunting season. Going out to these parcels, you don't have to be as quite as sneaky. You don't have to be quiet. You can spend a little more time at these locations without necessarily being worried about human intrusion or putting pressure on certain deer, or even putting pressure on your parcel. So one of the cool things that I personally do is oftentimes I take my kids with me. So I'm explaining them where we're going as we're walking through the woods, maybe showing them a track, and this is a gray squirrel, this is a black squirrel, this is whatever. But it just provides a good opportunity where there's less pressure on you to go in and get something done super, super fast. Typically we have times, it's weekends, it's evening times with these longer days. It just provides an awesome opportunity to get not only kids involved, but maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a non-hunter, maybe it's just a friend that's curious about running cameras or even hunting. And I think one easy way to introduce people to hunting is running trail cameras. It's a ton of fun, and it gets people inspired to not only get outside, but it gets them curious about hunting. So